Long Island musician Kip Carmen never achieved widespread fame, but his career left a few records that have captured the imagination of collectors and DJs around the world. Perhaps none more than This Island Is Our Home from 1980, a reggae-inspired track with a mysterious message backed by some of the best session musicians of the era.
To me, it was Long Island. It was the way I felt about Long Island. It was a place where everybody looked out for each other. Now my concept comes from when I was a child. I remember everybody in town knew who I was. That's Kip. That he's a Carmen, he's from Creek Road. You know, that kind of like grounded me to the point where I didn't want to mess up. But this Island Is Our Home was all about how I felt about people. And, you know, what people should be doing or attempting to do.
The record came about during a point of transition in Kip's career. He had already released 3 singles, developed his reputation as a stellar live act, and signed a deal with High Records. But by the late 70s, the High Records contract had run its course, and Kip turned down an offer from Atlantic Records, resolving to never again sign a deal that meant giving up control over his creative direction. Without label backing, Kip put together a collection of songs he had recorded in Memphis, New York City, and Long Island, and released his debut full-length LP Just for Tonight in the fall of 1980 on his own label Long Island Sounds Records. Self-releasing an album was no small feat at that time, but this way ensured Kip kept ownership of both the master tapes and publishing rights. More importantly, it left Kip free to put out the music exactly how and when he wanted to.
I had already been through the game of labels, and everybody has their opinion. They want you to do this, and they want you to. I don't know, man. Just record the songs, put it on there, and if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't.
The Just for Tonight album was not only a pivotal step in Kip's career as a band leader, it also sparked the beginning of some of his most important musical relationships. Kip was becoming known around town for his connections to some of the top session musicians in New York, such as guitar legend Cornell Dupree and drummer Chris Parker from the band Stuff, both of whom played on Kip's debut album.
His guitar playing talked to me. Every time I heard a record that was like hot, that I really liked, he was the guitar player on it. When I finally met him, and he said, "Oh yeah, well I've done 2,500 records." You know, that's a lot of records.
It was around that time when one of Kip's new groups, featuring local guitar master Danny Horton, got the attention of a man named Ogden Fell, a wealthy impresario and aspiring sound engineer and music executive.
And they said, "Wow, you guys are really good," say it the way they always do, "and you wanna cut some sides?" And I said, "Sure." Well, we cut some sides with the regular guys, and they go, "Well," I said, "You know, I have some friends in the industry in the city, a group called Stuff. We brought some of those guys in, the recordings might jump up a bit."
Kip, Danny, and Ogden signed a deal to finance and promote a new recording, with Kip and Danny keeping their publishing and their creative freedom. They got to work assembling a group of the best sidemen available, starting with Cornell Dupree. For arrangement and musical direction, they turned to James Allen Smith, a keyboardist known for his work with King Curtis and Robert Palmer. Jimmy, as his friends called him, had been introduced to Kip through Cornell a few years earlier.
He said to Jimmy, "Chill with this guy. I think you can get something happening."
The two would form a friendship and musical connection that would sustain Kip for the rest of his career.
He was something else. I mean, there were no keyboard players like him. I can only say this, as a singer, it felt like having a glove on you. When he played the keyboard, you could just sing. He could sing freely. It was a whole nother deal. Then my career just was extended, and I was always able to work.
With Kip, Danny, Cornell, and Jimmy as the foundation, the group was rounded out with an all-star rhythm section, featuring Stanley Banks on bass, Charles Collins on drums, and Crusher Bennett on percussion. The sessions took place in June 1980 at Mediasound, a New York City recording studio where Barbra Streisand and Cyndi Lauper also happened to be recording in nearby rooms. This Island Is Our Home had all the makings of a radio hit, and earned a feature in Record World and Billboard magazine. There were plans to feature the song on a full album of material they recorded called Clear the Way. However, things didn't work out as they hoped. The release date was set for December 8th, 1980, which happened to be the day John Lennon was killed. As a result, it was next to impossible to get radio airplay in the midst of the constant Beatles and John Lennon tributes over the months that followed. The record also had the misfortune of coming out during a time of contraction and change in the post-disco music industry. So the song didn't become a hit, the album plans were scrapped, and Kip Carmen never became a household name. But he did make a few phenomenal records like This Island Is Our Home that are sought after to this day. And more importantly, Kip supported himself and his family as a professional musician and band leader for 35 years, always on his own terms. And by that measure, Kip achieved something that very few artists are able to.
Success in music means you're able to play music, make music, play it, perform it, record, all facets of it to my own personal satisfaction, not anybody else's. And I was able to do that. I was able to be in charge of my whole life, myself. And that's, that's all I can really say. I mean, I'm a very happy person inside. I'm fulfilled. I don't know what else to say.